So this might be something that you saw that was really touching or cool or awesome or incredible, or you got to see someone grow, or just being in the presence of someone or having a phone call or being on the field. Like, what's been something where along your journey, it's been just like, wow, you look around, this is something.
I'm going to tell you the pivotal moment in my life as a coach and as a father and as a teacher. My oldest son was 10 years old, and he was looking for someone to help him coach. 10-year-old, they were looking for somebody in Little League to help coach. And I thought, well, I played a little baseball. I know a little baseball. And so I started reading all these coaching books, and I was going to be into this team building thing. And so, they do the draft like they always do, and you have and at our league, the kids that got cut from 11, 12-year-old league got moved down to the 10. They could play in our league too. And so, you have the draft. They get a few ground balls. They get some fly balls. They get 5 swings, and they run the bases. And you get your spreadsheet, and it says, you give them a grade of 1 through 5 each player, so you can go to the draft and pick the best players. And then they had this notes column on the side. You can take notes. And so I had a code for it, I would watch the parents during the draft. I had one code that was DIA, and that is dad is, A. And so when we got to this draft, it went around and I thought, first of all, everybody on my list out of a scale of 0 to 5 was a 3. And I and then all the players were picked, and I couldn't remember anybody's name. I got down to the very end, and there was 3 guys left, 2 DIAs, and a kid named Lance. And all I had written by his name was tall and gawky, is what I wrote. He's a 12-year-old that got pushed down. And so I drafted Lance because I didn't want the 2 DIAs on my team, right? And so we started practicing, and we were pretty good. And I was practicing. I was finding places to practice 3-4 days a week, and I was doing all these cool things. But it became really obvious that Lance had never played baseball. He's in Florida. He's 12 years old. And they put him out to try out for baseball his first time he ever touched the glove. He didn't know which hand to hold on. First time I ever hit him a fly ball, it hit him in the face. And I was like, I remember going home and talking to my wife and going, man, how could someone set their kid up for failure? Don't they know that in Florida, these kids have been playing since they were 4 or 5 years old? You could put the kid in Little League baseball when he's 12 for the first time. And now I was getting frustrated because I got to spend all this extra time with him. I could be working with these other players. It's really frustrating. I was getting aggravated. And to top it off, every time we'd have practice, Lance's mom would be late picking him up. Practice is over at 8, 8:15, 8:30, and I'm just sitting there with Lance. And all the park people leave, and I'm just sitting there like the babysitter. And after a few weeks of this, I'd had enough, man. It was about the 4th game into the season. I'm like, I'd had enough. And I said, tonight's the night I'm going to tell her. I'm going to tell her what I think, right? And so practice ended. Lance had his same old, didn't do anything, just kind of in the way. And the park rangers left, and it was Lance and I sitting on a picnic table under one little parking light, one little light. And he was really quiet. He didn't say anything. And I'm shuffling papers and trying to look at physical therapy notes in the dark. And finally she comes rolling up, and her car lights are off in the distance. She comes walking really fast across the parking lot. And I was about to lay into her and say, who do you think you are? I'm not your babysitter. I got a life. You're taking advantage of me. And how dare you sign your kid up for Little League when he doesn't know how to play? You've set this boy up for failure. And she stopped right in front of me, and she was apologizing profusely. And as soon as I was waiting for her to take a breath to tell her off, and she stopped, and mid-sentence, she looked at me and she said, Coach Sullivan, I just want to thank you for all you've done for Lance. He comes home every night, and this is all he talks about. This is all he can ever speak about is how great you are and how much fun this is and all the kids he's meeting. She said, a year ago, Lance's father committed suicide, and Lance found him in the bedroom. And he was so devastated by the event that for a year he hasn't come out of his room. He's been a recluse, and I was driving past the ballpark one day, and I saw the sign, and it said Little League tryouts, 2 weeks. And I thought, wow, maybe that'll be a really neat chance for Lance to get out and meet people and have some fun. And she said, I'm so thankful. He's brightened up, and he just talks about all the stuff you teach him every single day. And I was like, man, what in the world? Who am I? And I thought, how bad do I suck as a person? How dare I have the audacity to look at them and know anything about their situation, about who they are and where they came from and why they signed up and what they're looking for out of this experience? I had made it all about me, and it wasn't about him. And we, at that moment, there was a change in me. I was like, wow, I have got this wrong, what my job, what my role is here. I'm the guy, man. I'm the hero of this story. I need to impact people's lives, and I need to meet them where they are. So that next practice, I kind of redoubled my efforts, and I'd keep Lance after, hitting him tennis balls to try to get him to catch fly balls. And we went through that season that year. We were 16-0 going into the playoffs, and we were really good. And Lance never got a hit. He never caught a ball, right, the whole year. But he was out there, and I kept, hitting him balls after practice and everything. And then we got into the park tournament, the big park tournament. We're in the semifinal, and we're in trouble. The bases are loaded, and we're up by 1 run. And they hit a fly ball to right field. Well, Lance is in right field because he got to get his 2 innings in, right? And he runs to his left, and he runs to his right, and he stumbles, and he falls. And I'm like, oh, this game's over. We just lost. And Lance sticks his arm and catches the ball. And we won the game. We won the tournament. We won the league. And after the game, it's all I could do. I couldn't say a word. I just had the ball. I said, game ball. Lance, just way to go. And that moment changed me deeply. I mean, it still affects me today when I talk about it. And our mission here, our ethos at the Florida Baseball Ranch is every player, man, meet him where he is, find out what he needs today, and give him your very best, no matter what you feel like, no matter what kind of day you had, no matter whether you like him or his parents. You coach that child. You coached him anyway, right? You coach her anyway. If they're entrusted to your tutelage, if they're in your purview, it is your responsibility to find a way to connect with that player and teach them. And that has been the driving force for the Armory, and it's been the driving force for the ranch. It's been the driving force in my life since that moment when I realized that, man, this is not about me or the coach or about us. It's about helping these young men and women reach their dreams and achieve. And hopefully, they're all going to be beer league softball players at the end of the day, right? We're all going to eventually. And what they become is far more important than anything they could ever achieve. And that's sort of been our mantra. And the journey, to share that journey with someone and watch them grow. And even if they don't make it to the highest level, to know they walked away doing everything they could to get where they wanted to go, and that they feel they're fulfilled, they're self-actualized, that they feel like, wow, maybe I didn't make it all the way, but I gave it a good run, and I got nothing to be ashamed of. That's been great.